General Hospital spoilers for Friday, August 8th, tease that alliances are shifting, secrets are leaking, and a storm is brewing over Port Charles that no one will escape unscathed. In the polished yet suffocating corridors of the invaders' downtown offices, Alexis Davis leaned back in her chair, eyes locked on the woman standing across from her desk. Ava Jerome. The name alone used to send shivers down Alexis' spine, but now they shared a common enemy. Rick Lansing. He has to go, Ava stated coldly, her voice low and deliberate. You know that. Alexis didn't flinch. I'm not arguing with you. What had started as a cautious conversation quickly turned into the spark of conspiracy. Rick had cornered Alexis only days ago with threats about exposing long-buried mistakes, buried clients, buried ethics. Things Alexis couldn't afford to resurface now that she was fighting for redemption. He's arrogant, Alexis said, tapping her pen. He thinks he's smarter than both of us. He's not, Ava replied, her eyes glinting. But he's dangerous. He knows how to twist a knife, literally and figuratively. A deal began to form, unspoken at first. Both women had danced with the devil. Both had lost things to Rick. For Ava, it was control. For Alexis, it was her hard-won peace. Unbeknownst to them, Rick wasn't as blind as they believed. He had eyes everywhere, ears in every hallway. And as he sipped his scotch at the Metro Court bar, watching Alexis and Ava in hushed conversation from across the lobby, he smiled, not with amusement, but calculation. He knew what they were planning. He knew Ava well enough to know she'd move first. But Rick wasn't planning to fight them head-on. No. He had something else in mind. He would let Alexis think she was cornering him, that her threats and alliances held power. Then, when the moment was right, he would make her beg to be spared. And he'd start by making a subtle offer. Not blackmail. Not this time. A deal. A warning wrapped in velvet. Because sometimes the only way to keep your enemy close is to let them think they've won. Elsewhere in Port Charles, another warning was about to be issued, only this one came with sincerity. Jocelyn Jack sat at a small table outside Kelly's, nursing a lemonade and shifting restlessly. Her eyes scanned the street until she spotted Emma Scorpio Drake walking up, bright-eyed and clutching a folder. I got the job, Emma said breathlessly, sliding into the seat across from Jocelyn. Jocelyn smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. As Dalton's research assistant? Yeah. Isn't it great? His work on neural regeneration is groundbreaking. Jocelyn's hand tightened around her glass. Emma, you need to quit. Now. Emma blinked. What? Why? Jocelyn lowered her voice, leaning in. Because Henry Dalton isn't just a genius. He's dangerous. He flirts with every assistant he's ever hired. He doesn't respect boundaries. Emma laughed nervously. You're overreacting. I'm not. Jocelyn's voice was sharp, urgent. He came on to me when I met him at a conference. Full court press. He won't stop with you, and he's not just creepy, he's manipulative. If he senses you're vulnerable, he'll twist it. Emma frowned. Why didn't you tell me this before? I didn't think you'd take the job. Jocelyn snapped, then caught herself. Sorry. I care about you. I don't want you getting sucked into whatever game he's playing. Emma hesitated. He seemed so professional. They all do, at first, Jocelyn said. Please. Just think about it. Emma didn't answer, but the uncertainty in her eyes spoke volumes. Later that afternoon, Jocelyn found herself pacing in front of Trina's locker at PCU, still rattled. You have to talk to her, Jocelyn said. Trina looked up. Emma? She respects you. If you tell her Dalton's no good, she'll listen. Trina leaned against the locker, arms crossed. You think she's really in danger? I don't think I know. He's hiding something, Trina. It's not just the flirting. I've heard whispers about his past, about women who left the program without explanation. Trina's expression grew serious. Okay. I'll talk to her. Tonight. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a new plot simmered in another part of the city. At the WSB safehouse just outside Port Charles, Anna Devane stood over a file strewn with photographs and surveillance logs. One photo, in particular, caught her eye: Jack Brennan, formerly director of the WSB's Covert Division, currently under investigation. But what caught Anna's attention wasn't Brennan, it was Carly Spencer, visible in the background of a surveillance shot. There was no mistaking the implication. Brennan was connected to Carly. And if that wasn't enough, the sealed intelligence she'd uncovered that morning was. Anna made a decision, one that would change the balance of power in the investigation. She picked up her secure phone and called Jason Morgan. "She's alive," Anna said without preamble. There was silence on the other end, then Jason's low voice, "Britt? She was extracted 2 months ago during an operation in Marrakesh. We lost the signal after that. But she resurfaced in Romania last week. I have the coordinates." Jason's breath hitched. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Anna's tone was sharp. "Because someone didn't want you to know. And I think that someone is connected to Carly." Jason didn't answer. He didn't have to. Anna ended the call and closed the folder. Britt Westbourne was alive. And that meant everything was about to change. Back in Port Charles, at City Hall, Jordan Ashford stepped into Laura Collins' office, holding a folder labeled Sidwell. Laura raised an eyebrow. "I take it this isn't a social visit." Jordan nodded grimly. "Sidwell's operation is larger than we thought. He's linked to a shipment coming through the docks next week. Weapons, possibly. And he has local contacts." Laura scanned the file. "Who?" Jordan hesitated. "He suspects I've been feeding you intel." "I don't know how, but he's preparing something. I think he's planning to eliminate me." Laura's face darkened. "We'll get you protection." Jordan shook her head. "No. That'll tip him off. I need to stay embedded, at least until I confirm the shipment." But it was too late. Sidwell already knew. And across town, in a quiet warehouse near the waterfront, he was giving orders to one of his enforcers. "Make it look like a robbery," Sidwell said. "But I want her gone by the end of the week." Back at the Corinthos estate, Sunny sat in the dimly lit living room, sipping espresso as Brooke Lynn Quartermain entered, nervously twisting her fingers. "I appreciate you coming," Sunny said, motioning for her to sit. "We need to talk about Gio." Brooke Lynn exhaled. "I know. I've been meaning to reach out." "He's struggling," Sunny said. "And I don't just mean the adjustment. There's something going on emotionally." "You're close to him." "Maybe closer than I am." Brooke Lynn looked down. "He doesn't talk to me like he used to. He's pulling away." Sunny leaned forward. "And what about Chase?" Brooke Lynn froze. "Don't play dumb," Sunny continued. "He wants to adopt." "You said no." Brooke Lynn's eyes filled with conflict. "It's not that I don't love him. I do. But I'm not ready. And maybe that makes me selfish, but I can't fake it." Sunny's voice was gentle. "If you love him, talk to him. Don't let fear make decisions for you." Meanwhile, Willow Tate was having her own difficult conversation with Harrison Chase. They sat at a park bench near the school, the shadows of dusk stretching long behind them. "I just don't get it," Chase said, frustration in his voice. "Michael cutting you off from the kids, it's cruel." Willow's jaw clenched. "You think I don't know that?" "I didn't mean." "Yes, you did," Willow snapped. "You meant exactly what you said. That I'm the villain now. That I deserve this." Chase raised his hands. "Willow, that's not what I said." "You don't get it, Chase," she interrupted, rising to her feet. "He's keeping my babies from me. Like I'm a threat. Like I'm unstable. Chase stood, voice softer. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up. But the damage was done. Something cracked in Willow. A cold resolve replaced her sorrow. If Michael thought she was dangerous, maybe it was time to prove him right. That night, Willow drove to Carly's house. She waited until the lights were out, until the house was still. Her heart pounded in her chest, not with fear but with clarity. She would take them. Wiley and Amelia. She would bring them somewhere safe. Somewhere Michael couldn't use them as pawns. Because a mother fights for her children. And Willow was done waiting. As the clock struck midnight over Port Charles, silence cloaked the suburban streets, but chaos simmered just beneath. In the shadows outside Carly Spencer's house, Willow moved with calculated intensity. Her breath was shallow as she slipped through the side gate, backpack slung over one shoulder. Inside were toys, snacks, spare clothes, everything Wiley and Amelia would need for a few days away. Or longer. She hadn't made up her mind. What she had made was a decision. She paused outside the back door, her fingers trembling as she picked the lock. It was easier than she'd expected. Too easy. Her heart pounded, not with guilt but anticipation. Every cell in her body screamed that this was right, that she was reclaiming what had been stolen from her. Upstairs, the soft creak of a crib stirred the silence. Willow tiptoed inside the nursery and paused over Amelia's sleeping form. The baby's chest rose and fell in peaceful rhythm. In the next room, Wiley stirred but didn't wake. With practiced care, Willow lifted Amelia into her arms and moved to the hallway. She had just wrapped Wiley in a blanket when a voice startled her. Willow? It was Carly. She stood at the top of the stairs, eyes wide, hand frozen on the banister. Her voice was raw. Confused. But when she saw the children cradled in Willow's arms, confusion turned to alarm. What are you doing? Carly's voice was low and urgent, but there was no mistaking the danger beneath it. Willow didn't flinch. Taking my kids. They're not just your kids, Carly said, stepping closer. You can't just walk out of here with them. I begged Michael to let me see them, Willow replied coldly. He refused. You refused. So I'm done asking. I'm calling Michael, Carly warned, reaching for her phone. Willow's voice turned sharp. You call him, and I swear, Carly, you'll never see them again. For a split second, Carly faltered. There was something unhinged in Willow's expression, something wounded and maternal and terrifyingly resolute. Carly lowered the phone. Just talk to me. But Willow had no more words. She turned and vanished down the stairs, disappearing into the night with Wiley and Amelia in tow, her heartbeat pounding like a war drum. She had no plan beyond escape. No destination beyond somewhere far from Michael. And the farther she drove, the more her fury fed the delusion that she was saving her children, not stealing them. At the same time, in the darkened alley behind the warehouse on Pier 27, Jordan Ashford moved quickly. Her instincts screamed danger. She had intercepted a coded message that confirmed what she'd feared. Sidwell had marked her for elimination. And now, every shadow looked like a weapon, every creak a gun cocking. She had no backup. She couldn't risk blowing her cover. But as she stepped closer to the loading dock, she felt it, a presence. A shift in the air. A shot rang out. She dove behind a stack of crates, clutching her side. Blood seeped between her fingers. Her head swam, but she forced herself to stay quiet. Stay still. Two figures approached, flashlights scanning the shadows. Their voices were muffled, but she heard one clearly. Make sure she's dead this time. Jordan held her breath. As the footsteps closed in, she reached for her service weapon, aiming with shaky precision. One shot. Then another. A scream followed, and one of the assailants dropped. The second ran. Jordan staggered to her feet, pressing hard on her wound. She had to move. If she passed out here, Sidwell would finish what his men failed to do. She stumbled down the alley, blood trailing behind her like a ribbon of war. She had to make it to Laura. Laura had to know. At City Hall, Laura Collins had just finished reviewing the new intel when her office phone rang. The voice on the other end was panicked. "This is Detective Mayers. We found Jordan. She's been shot." Laura's hand trembled as she clutched the receiver. "Where is she now?" "GH. She's in surgery." Laura sank into her chair. The war with Sidwell had just claimed its first casualty. And she wasn't sure it would be the last. Meanwhile, far from the bloodshed and betrayal, Alexis Davis sat in her office, staring at a blank legal pad. Ava had left an hour ago, after finalizing the details of their plan. They had agreed Rick would be given one chance to walk away. If he didn't take it, they would destroy him. Just as Alexis reached for her pen, her phone buzzed. It was Rick. She hesitated, then answered. "What do you want?" "To talk," Rick said smoothly. "In person." "I don't think that's a good idea." "Then maybe the press would like to know about that little case you buried back in 2017. You know the one I mean." Alexis's jaw clenched. "What do you want?" "To offer a deal," Rick said. "Meet me at the promenade in 30 minutes. The line went dead. Alexis grabbed her coat. Rick thought he held the cards. But Ava had given her more than information, she had given her leverage. And Alexis was done being blackmailed. Across town, Jocelyn Jack sat in her room staring at her phone. She had called Emma twice. No response. Her gut twisted. Trina called minutes later. She didn't show for dinner. Her mom hasn't seen her since this morning. Jocelyn's heart dropped. "Do you think she went to Dalton?" "I think she didn't listen," Trina said. "And now I'm worried. We have to find her." Emma hadn't ignored their warnings, she just hadn't believed them. She was still clinging to the illusion that Henry Dalton was a mentor, not a predator. But she was wrong. At Dalton's university lab, the lights were still on despite the late hour. Emma sat on a stool reviewing lab samples while Dalton stood behind her, watching. Too closely. His hands lingered on her shoulders. She shifted uncomfortably. "I think I should go," Emma said, trying to sound casual. "You've barely started," Dalton replied smoothly. "You're not scared, are you?" Emma forced a smile. "Just tired." Dalton stepped closer. "You're brilliant, Emma. Too brilliant to waste your time with people who don't understand you." She moved away. "Good night, Professor." She didn't wait for a reply. She grabbed her bag and hurried out. Once outside, her breath came in shaky bursts. Jocelyn had been right. Trina had been right. And she had almost walked straight into something she didn't fully understand. At the corner of the parking lot, her phone buzzed. "Unknown number, you shouldn't have left." She froze. Back at Carly's, the police were already there. Michael had arrived, furious and frantic. Carly explained everything, but nothing could calm the storm in his eyes. "She took my children," Michael said. "She's gone." Detective Bennett approached. "We've issued an Amber Alert. We're tracking her car." Carly tried to put a hand on his arm, but Michael pulled away. "I trusted you." "I didn't know she'd do this," Carly said. "Yes, you did," Michael snapped. "You just didn't stop her." Outside, Sonny stood silently by his car, his face unreadable. But inside, the fire was already lit. Willow had just declared war. And somewhere on a dark road outside town, Willow drove faster, the children asleep in the back. Her grip on the wheel was tight, her eyes wild. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew what she was running from. And what she might become. In a quiet hotel room across the Atlantic, a woman stared at a cracked mirror. Her blonde hair was longer, her eyes sharper. Britt Westbourne. She hadn't spoken to Jason Morgan in months. Hadn't dared. But she knew he would come. Anna had promised. She didn't know what Jason would do when he saw her, what he'd say, how he'd look at her after everything. But she had to believe that someone still cared enough to come find her. She looked down at her wrist. A scar, faint but visible, marked her skin, a reminder of the past she had barely escaped. The knock came softly at first. Then louder. She approached the door, heart hammering. When she opened it, she didn't find Jason. She found Jack Brennan. "Hello, Britt," he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "We need to talk." Her blood ran cold. Britt knew now she wasn't safe. Anna had been wrong. They had all been wrong. And whatever came next, it would not be salvation. It would be survival.